Hello and welcome to another video brought to you by Boston Law Group LLC. I'm Renee Boston. I am one of the childbirth, injury, and medical malpractice attorneys practicing law here in the state of Maryland. And I want to bring you a special guest today. I have attorney Sabrina Thompson with me. She practices law here in the state of Maryland with me as well, but her practice areas are a little different. Today, we're going to bring you a little snapshot into the immigration process and what effect the COVID-19 situation has had on the immigration process. But without further ado, I want to introduce you to attorney Sabrina Thompson. She's going to tell you a little bit about herself, and then we're going to jump right into our topics for today. So thank you very much, Attorney Thompson. Welcome.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you so much for having me and for giving me this opportunity to share some information about immigration and what's happening with immigration now that this pandemic is upon us. As you said, my name is Sabrina Thompson. I am the owner of Thompson Legal Group. It is a boutique law firm headquartered here in Maryland, and our practice is crimmigration, which is one of my favorite terms. I wish I could take credit for it, but I didn't coin it. It is a real practice area, and it involves the intersections of immigration and criminal defense law. Since this pandemic has come upon us, immigration has been significantly impacted. As many of you know, if you've been following the news, our president signed an executive order this week, quote unquote, suspending immigration for 60 days. And so what does that mean, right? That news has created all kinds of panic among the immigrant community here in the United States. I'm getting calls and emails, and people are wondering, what does this mean? Does this mean that I'm not safe here anymore as an immigrant? Am I going to be deported because immigration is now suspended? If I already sent in my application for a green card or for a change of status, does that mean that it's not going to go through? What does this mean? So I wanted to use this opportunity today just to clarify the president's action and further explain to folks what it means for them. So the action that the president took this week is he signed an executive order, and it's called the Presidential Proclamation, suspending the entry of certain immigrants to the United States. And he has said that the purpose of it is to protect the U.S. citizens who are already here from the continued spread of COVID-19, and also to protect the economy, because there is this false, really, belief that immigrants take jobs from American workers. So he has touted those two things as the reasons, the basis for this order. The first thing that people should know is that the order only impacts people who are overseas. So if you are an immigrant and you are here in the United States, this action does not affect you. For those who are overseas, if you are not a permanent resident, meaning you already have a green card, then this could impact you. If you are overseas and you don't have a travel document, then this could impact you. If you are a U.S. citizen and you're overseas, this does not impact you. U.S. citizens are safe wherever you are from the effects of this order. So let's say you are a U.S. citizen and you're living abroad and you want to come back to the United States. You're free to do so. This quote unquote suspension of immigration doesn't affect that. If you are a United States citizen and you're here in the United States trying to go abroad somewhere else, this action also doesn't impact your ability to do so. However, as you can imagine, many of the airlines right now are just not flying. Many of the borders at other countries are not accepting people. So it would be very difficult, for anybody really to travel now for any purpose other than what would be deemed essential, urgent, or emergency based.
Right.
For non-immigrants, and let me explain what that means. So in the immigration world, there are two categories of immigrants. There's a true immigrant, which means a person who wants to live here permanently in the United States, right? And then there's also a non-immigrant, which refers to a person who is here in the United States to work or visit, get medical treatment, to study. Those are referred to as non-immigrants, right? So if you are a non-immigrant, maybe you have a desire to come and study here and you are abroad, this action does not reference you at all. So you could still file your application. As a matter of fact, the United States embassies and the consulate posts, they had already, prior to this thing being issued in the middle of March, they had already suspended their services as a result of COVID-19 to just emergency or urgent situations. So that doesn't mean that they're not accepting applications, but like most government agencies at this point, they're doing only what's really important, what needs to be done right now. You can still file and you'll go in the queue, and when things reopen, then they will begin to process. But the truth is, this order is really, it's actually kind of toothless. Many of us immigration practitioners and advocates believe that it's just more in the way of pushing the anti-immigrant agenda that our administration does, just kind of creating fear, like using a scare tactic to create fear among the community, because it really isn't changing much of what was already happening prior to the president, doing this action. So essentially, it affects people who are overseas, who are not U.S. citizens, who do not have already their green card status, and who do not have an official travel document. I hope that's clear. I don't know. So
just for me, so I can clarify. So say, for instance, I'm a university student already in the United States, but my home country is somewhere else. How would that affect me? Say I'm already here now, and I'm just here for a student visa or something like that. Do I have to immediately pack my stuff and go home, or can I stay, or what's the situation for me?
So if you're here, again, this order doesn't affect anybody who is here.
Okay.
It is directed toward people who are overseas trying to come here.
Gotcha.
So if you're already here on a student visa, on any visa, you're not impacted by this.
Okay. So if it's the same situation of, say this was the beginning of a new semester, and I was coming to study, or I'm coming to work to the United States, at that point I would be affected by the new legislation.
If you're outside of the U.S.?
Correct.
No. So that's a good question.
Really? Okay.
Right. So if you're outside of the U.S. and you are seeking to come here for study, you would be categorized as a non-immigrant.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Again, this action is specific to those who want to be here permanently, as in have a green card, live and reside and work here in the U.S. permanently. This order is directed toward those folks.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. And now I can see it's the distinction between those who are coming here for temporary reasons versus those who want to come here permanently.
Correct.
Okay. Now I see why some of the immigration and crimmigration attorneys kind of are looking at this sideways, because it's the same person. It just really goes into duration.
Right, and intent. And
intent, right.
And your duration as well.
Okay, so how, if for let's say, for instance, we have immigrants that are here that want to remain in the United States, may not have filed any paperwork yet, where do they stand?
So if you are here undocumented,
right,
and you are looking to get some sort of immigration status, you would need to file through USCIS, right? That stands for United States Citizen and Immigration Service. USCIS right now is operating at a very low level. They are processing applications. They're not open to the public, so they're not doing interviews or any other in-person meetings, but they are behind the scenes working on things. The thing with people who are undocumented, it's very involved. So I'm trying to think of a generic, an overview to give you without getting you lost in the weeds of it. Typically, people who are here without status, depending on the basis for which you're applying for relief, oftentimes that person would have to leave, start the process here, leave, go to their home country, and finish the process at a U.S. embassy or consular post.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, that's good to know.
It depends. There are exceptions to that rule, depending on the basis for which you're filing your immigration benefit, you could do it from here. For those folks who are filing and needing to leave before they finish the process, it would probably be a long time before that gets adjudicated, just because USCIS right now is, working on a very skeletal staff, and they already have a very severe backlog. As a matter of fact, there have been lawsuits for the backlog that they're working with. So you can imagine now that things have slowed down as a result of the pandemic, that backlog is going to increase. So for folks who are here without status, not saying that you shouldn't worry, but the order doesn't impact you. So for now, you should seek an immigration attorney, have a consultation, strategize your next steps, but don't think that this action is something that is going to impact you. It does not.
Okay. I think that was kind of the major things I was thinking about, because you read some of the blogs, you see some of the articles, and people kind of have questions and comments within the comment section, and you want to just make sure people have proper clarification as to who these laws and orders affect and who they don't necessarily affect or don't impact as much.
Correct.
All right. Well, actually, that is all the questions that I have for you. Do you have any tips or hints you want to leave with the people so that way they can know what steps they need to take, or like you're with, for instance, your website? We're going to also include Attorney Thompson's website and contact information at the end of this video. But is there any takeaways or anything you want to leave the people with?
Sure. So, for my immigrants out here in the immigrant community, I want you guys to be hopeful. I always try to remind people that we're living in scary times. Yes, we have this pandemic that is among us, and we also, prior to the pandemic, have this administration that we're dealing with. And again, as I mentioned earlier, they obviously have a very anti-immigrant agenda. Still, that being the case, there are ways to legitimize your status here in the United States. If you are here without status at all, there are ways. What you need to do is seek the assistance of an immigration attorney. Now is actually an ideal time to consult with an immigration attorney and to strategize next steps while things are somewhat slowed because of the pandemic. Consulting with an immigration attorney can avail you to opportunities that you otherwise may not even be aware of. So it's definitely my advice to be hopeful. Get yourself a lawyer who can help you to get your status squared away. You can contact me at 301-245-7449. My website is thompsonlegalgroup.com. You can also find me on Facebook at Thompson Legal Group and on Instagram at Thompson Legal.
All right. Once again, thank you very, very much to Attorney Sabrina Thompson. We greatly appreciate your time. We greatly appreciate what you do for the immigrant community here in the state of Maryland. And I guess because of immigration is federal, you can do it just about anywhere. So that is a big help and a big relief to people who, may have family and friends in other areas that may need assistance to get some of these questions answered and don't know anyone or don't trust anyone really to give them the best information. So we greatly appreciate you, and I thank you again.
Thank you also, Renee.
All right. Again, I am Renee Boston. I am one of the birth injury and medical malpractice attorneys here at Boston Law Group, LLC. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.